that he's a great guy. So I'm lost.
Guys, real quick, I don't mean to change the subject, but did Devin Duvernay go undrafted? Is that what
he
happened?
went in the third round.
Yeah.
Ravens.
Devin fucking Duvernay. Good luck to the kid. I'm not down on that person, but that's the third round pick. The guy we wanted in the first round last year. Nah, this guy, third round pick. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm hot, man. I'm hot on Tyler Johnson news.
I'm glad Peter and I finally agree on someone.
Oh, now I have to change my opinion.
I'll take that as a win.
So I understood Justin Watson going to the Bucs late and no one cared. He comes from, a non-conference team, easier competition level. I can understand there's a lot I don't understand there, but there's none of that is true of Tyler Johnson. And the scouts that were last year really liked him in the first. So, and that's why I've been willing to accept, there's something behind the scenes. He nut punches people. He's secretly, got only one leg and has been hiding it all this time. But we're after he's been drafted now, and still someone who knows him the best he can say is none of that's particularly a good reason, let alone an excuse. So,
Yeah, but I think it's just crazy to me because there's always, guys in the second or third round that are lazy and have character issues and all that shit. So it's to use that as the main reason on Tyler Johnson, I'm confused.
Wait, who's the nut puncher?
Yeah, apparently Tyler Johnson.
Wow.
That's the only thing I can think. He got into his interviews. Him and Eno Benjamin both. They went into their interviews and just dropped to their knees and full on right into. Hey, how you doing? That's the only
interesting
thing I can
approach.
come up with. Yeah, all right. And
it's the
if they
rope-a-dope.
did that, okay, I get it. You don't want to draft that guy. I wouldn't either. I wouldn't want him on my team either. But
did they put that on Player Profiler yet? Is that a metric on Player Profiler?
Part of the spark.
This is my conspiracy theory.
Sweet. Well, we went live, by the way, while we were talking about that, just in time for Mr. Irrelevant. New York Giants are on the clock. I'm sure they're going to pick someone that is literally irrelevant for fantasy purposes, but just in case, we'll keep an eye on it. But in the meantime, we can get started with a mock draft here.
Sweet. And
we're going to shoot for 3 rounds. We might have to cut it off at 2, depending on how long it takes. Man, you've got a bunch of analysts here who are absolutely fried from 3 days of this stuff. This draft has been a lot more fun than last year. Last year was absolutely horrible. I think Peter Howard probably loved last year. But the rest of us were just dude, where are all the running backs? Where are all the wide receivers through the first 3 rounds?
Don't you get nervous when GMs think that players are good, though?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, I totally get that.
Wow.
I mean,
delay just got mad there. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, I even said it on our live show on Thursday. To me, fantasy analysts are much better player evaluators than anything they've got in the NFL for the most part. So yeah,
To be fair, of course we'd think that, but
well, it's maybe we're better at analyzing fantasy analysis or player analysts too. Just can't say it as well, but. Anyway, so we'll do a quick roll call here, going clockwise, and start with James the Brain. James, I got to ask you a question first of all. Who had the best draft of the NFL teams?
Oh man, that's tough. There's several that I really liked. I will say the Baltimore Ravens. I think they really did well. As much as that hurts me to say, I really think they addressed a lot of areas of need, and they got value. They found value at every spot of the draft. So I like what Baltimore did. I'd reluctantly, as a Browns fan, say that the Ravens are probably the team I'd I'd say knocked it out of the park here.
All right, and then we got Stompy at FF Stompy. Stomp, my question to you is, who had the worst draft?
I mean, it's got to be the Packers, right? I just...
You acknowledge that was a horrible pick?
What one? No, I didn't ever think it was. I mean, I'll say this. In terms of that pick, I don't think it's a terrible pick per se, because Rodgers is coming towards the end of his career. They do need QB help. They do need to start grooming a new QB, but Rodgers is they're in a win now window, right? I mean, that's how I feel, at least, with Rodgers coming towards the end of his career. So get him help on the offensive side of the ball. Get him another pass catcher. I mean, I like Alan Lazard enough, but you need another pass catcher there. Instead, they went and got the QB, Jordan Love, who's going to be a project. They got AJ Dillon, which doesn't make sense with the two running backs you have. And then they got a backup tight end, or what looks like a backup tight end as well. So I guess I don't understand those first three picks at all. And then they finally got a linebacker. They needed help at linebacker too. But, I mean, those picks just don't make sense to me in terms of what they should be doing in a win-now team. But it seems like they're going more run-heavy, and I guess I don't know what that means for their plans in the next 2-3 years.
One quick thing, too, being in Wisconsin and hearing the talk radio, one of the big questions was, if you're the Green Bay Packers, how do you weave this draft without a wide receiver, knowing that it's such a strong wide receiver class? Like, that boggles my mind a little bit, too. Like, an area of need that is strong in this draft you don't address at any point in the draft. That's insane to me.
Yeah, but Tyler Johnson didn't play at the Shrine Bowl, so obviously he's not worth a swing in the late fifth.
And he punches nuts. Don't forget punching nuts.
Don't forget. Gabriel Davis, I just found out, went in the fourth. He was probably worth a swing by the Bills instead of Tyler Johnson. That makes a lot of sense.
We also have Bill at SuperFlex, host of Fantasy Timeline and SuperFlex Spurts. Bill, how about you? Who had the best draft?
Well, we were just talking about it beforehand. I mean, I don't know if it's the best, but it's the most exciting. Denver added a lot of pieces. Who knows how it's all going to play out, but I mean, there's a lot of fantasy excitement in there. Yeah, definitely. Although, I mean, Drew Lock is still horrible. So, yeah, Bobby Koch. Debbie Kane.
It's going to be really hard to be terrible with that roster.
I know. Yeah. I know. Yeah, that's going to be. I'm resisting the urge to fight that battle right now on Twitter while we're trying to do this mock draft. This is far more important, so I'll manage somehow. Debbie Kane, welcome back to the show. You were just on here doing Tinderflex.
Yep.
And I don't remember exactly what roster you ended up with, but how's it looking now post draft?
Not great.
Really?
Nate Stanley went in the 7th round of the Minnesota Vikings, so you got that going for you, Kane.
Got drafted.
Hot dog. So does that mean everyone's going to be fighting for him to start over Kirk as soon as Kirk only throws 130 yards in a win?
Viking fans are already calling for that. Already.
Oh my God! Every year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then we've got the great Peter Howard as well at PA Howdy. Just give me your overall reaction to this draft for SuperFlex purposes. Did it match the hype? I guess we saw rookie pick values just shooting through the damn roof just like 3 days ago, man. Do you feel like the landing spots are going to match that? I'm also just kind of curious, what are some trends that you're looking at right now, now that we know some landing spots?
Yeah, I got a little work to do on looking at past draft classes in terms of, I looked at it briefly in terms of high draft capital classes for skills position players, but I really haven't looked at it enough to comment on it just yet. In general, yeah, I think it paid off. I think a lot of people are going to be worried about conflicting depth charts for the top of the class. But my general instinct on that is I've never seen anyone come up with a good rule of what a good landing spot is for a wide receiver that works consistently. High passing attempt is generally good, but they can drop. Good QBs are generally good, but QBs don't elevate players. Stuff like that. So yeah, I thought the landing spots are fine. I do think the running backs won in terms of clean landing spots go, if that helps. Like the running backs got the easier situations to read, or at least we think we can read them, especially at the top of the class.
Nice. We've got one more guest backstage. I'm gonna boot James here for just a second. Randomly selected, James. Don't take offense.
Oh, John Hightower. He was worth a 5th round pick, that's for sure.
And we've got Justin from the Father Son podcast.
What's going on?
At Justin FSFF. Justin, what do you think, man? Who had the worst draft among the NFL teams?
Is that even debatable? It has to be Packers, man. That's just
right?
Awful. Yeah, it's so bad. I think John Paulson made a tweet with Hitler reacting to the Packers taking a quarterback in the first round with like all the captions, and that's a good laugh. And it's just, I don't understand that at all.
So I'm going to give you an easy one then, a more difficult one actually, since that one was too easy. How about who had the best?
I think the Dolphins killed it.
Nice.
I really do think from like a team perspective that, you see what they've done in past years, and then this year taking Tua, protecting the line up front, not even worrying about running back, and then getting Matt Breida for a 5th round pick. I love it.
Was there a trade? I missed it.
Yeah, 5th round pick for Matt Breida.
Well, yeah.
So fins up, baby.
So I'm going to throw out a couple things for you guys before we get started here. So first, we've got Alex in the live chat. Said he's on the clock at 3:06. First of all, your thoughts on Gandy Golden in Washington? Is he their wide receiver 2? Does he have wide receiver 2 dynasty upside? And he also has Jacob Eason and Darrington Evans are also available at that pick. I mean, to me, that's Evans, but I'm curious what everybody else thinks.
Ditto.
Did you say it was a 1 quarterback league or a SuperFlex league?
Let's assume SuperFlex.
Then I'm taking Eason.
Oh, okay.
At the 306.
All right.
He went to Indy, right?
Yep.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty close between Evans and Eason, but I think I'm going to go Evans for now, just because I feel like, there's the opportunity for his value to increase right now.
Okay, and Peter.
Yeah, I'd lean Evans. I really like Antonio Gordon Gandy, but 5th round's fine for flyers at wide receiver, but typically they're going to end up on the waiver wire before they get a chance to play on average. You're at least looking at year 2 for most guys outside of the 3rd year, and those guys are hard to hold on your roster, and so you just go for the positional value. QB is a good way to go, but I don't have a particularly high opinion of Eason. Darrington Evans could easily see playing time in his first year if the right thing goes his way, and that's just where the value and the points are going to be. So I'd go Evans.
Perfect. Stomp, anything to add?
I mean, I would go Eason simply because I think of like the guys who were picked to be behind a QB, he's got the cleanest path. Phillip Rivers signed for 1 year with Indy.
Yeah.
I would imagine that Eason could very easily take over as soon as 2021. Evans, I mean, I agree. I think he definitely gets playing time this year. I just don't know after this year what happens. I mean, do they move on from Derrick Henry and get Durant or use Durante Evans? They very well easily could, but I guess I would take the shot in Superflex on Eason.
Especially if you have Phillip Rivers. I think that's kind of he has the most value to the Phillip Rivers owner. So let's get this mock draft rolling though. So I gave myself 101 so that I can get this thing started.
This thing is rigged.
No, he just has the worst team.
Probably.
Yeah.
Because he's got 20 quarterbacks.
All those quarterbacks and nobody at running back yet. So plus that way I can drop out, let James back in, and you guys can roll through the rest of the top 7. So but I put it out there on Twitter. I'm actually going to get you guys' thoughts on this too. And again, just going to go around the horn, but I put it on Twitter. I put a poll out there. If you actually earned 101, it probably means that you're kind of a younger team, kind of in rebuild mode, probably are QB needy actually. And the overwhelming consensus is still Joe Burrow, even with all the hype behind, Clyde Edwards-Helaire right now. To me, Jonathan Taylor still is in the best situation of the running backs, but everyone's still going with Burrow. So going clockwise here, starting with Stomp, just give me a one-word answer. Who's your 101?
Burrow.
Bill? Kane?
Burrow.
Peter?
Same.
And Justin.
Say Tua, do it.
No, I gotta go Burrow. I mean, I'm like, I don't know.
Tua, I actually don't mind if Tua goes there.
I would be happy to get Tua. That's fine by me.
Sure. I think either one. I guess I don't know who has a higher ceiling. I feel like Tua has a higher ceiling for me personally, but he's not going to start in year one, at least the first half of the season.
We think.
We think. Very, very, very true.
Well, and give me the weapons that Joe Burrow already has in place versus the weapons that Tua has in Miami. I think he just has a better offensive system around him, and I'm just going to take that as a tiebreaker because I love both these guys.
Yeah. Honestly, to me, this is a situation you could basically look out even if you make the best decisions possible, if you know what I mean. Like, Burrow's is clearly the best option, clearly more likely to score points, clearly the better starting situation. But if you have to take Tua, I think you could be looking back and going, well, I made the right pick. I mean, you should go Burrow, but Tua could easily be the one you would rather have. There's no way. I mean, if you just love Tua, just do it and, have your fun, because it could easily be Tua.
Right.
Especially long term.
So Taylor and CEH don't make it into the conversation for any of you guys?
For me,
not in SuperFlex, no.
But
nope.
I can't. Yeah, not with T. Higgins going there. It kind of secured it for me.
Yeah, nice. Okay, easy enough.
AJ Green and Tyler Boyd, but T. Higgins.
T. Higgins.
But T. Higgins. All right, yeah. I see you.
That makes it an easy pick for me. Rookie pick 1.01 and SuperFlex is Joe Burrow. I'm gonna step out, let James come back in, and we'll just keep going clockwise once James is here.
All right.
Oh, there it is.
What is John doing?
Hey. Now I'm back. And now that I took John's spot, I guess I picked 2, right? No, I'm gonna we're gonna start with you, Stompy, and you can pick next. So Joe Burrow off the board in a SuperFlex mock. Who are you taking with the 1.02 here?
Well, I said I wouldn't mind taking Tua at 101, so at 102 I'm going to take Tua. Tagovailoa, yeah, quarterback for Miami.
Nice.
So what does everyone think? Is that would you guys take Tua here? Is there anybody else that would be in your thought processes? Or
nope, always Tua. Tua, no matter what.
Yeah, Tua SuperFlex here at the 1.02. I totally agree, and I don't have anything else to add. I think the 1.1 and the 1.01 and 1.02 went the right way here. So that's going to put Bill on the clock. And Bill, you have the 1.03. Now is where things get interesting. What are you going to do with this pick at this point?
So I'm going to be honest. I still haven't decided which route I'm going to go with this. So this is pretty much a coin flip for me. But I think I'm going to go with I think I'm going to go Clyde Edwards-Helaire here. I mean, it was either him or Taylor, but I just like the pass catching for CEH. And I mean, that just being a first round pick for the Chiefs in that system, I mean, I'm going with, the upside, I guess.
First running back off the board in the NFL draft is the first running back off the board in our Superflex mock here. What does everybody think about Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Obviously, the landing spot has really boosted him as well as the draft capital. Does anybody have any issues with Clyde Edwards-Helaire going here?
He's a tier 1 running back.
Yeah, and I think the landing spot really secured it for him.
Well, and I think the thing is, this is one of those picks you're not going to get wrong, whether it be JT or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, draft capital's on Edwards-Helaire's side. Offense is probably on that side as well, but Taylor steps in behind arguably the best offensive line in the game right now, behind Quentin Nelson. So you have to like that for Jonathan Taylor for the next 4 years on that contract.
All right, perfect. So now we move on to Kane, and I am really interested in hearing who the Minnesota Gopher fan is going to take here at 4, because I think the consensus would probably have a certain running back going here. But I'm interested to see if Kane pulls the trigger here. So Kane, what are you going to do here at the 1.04?
This is incredibly easy for me, and I'm taking Justin Herbert.
Very nice. Very nice. So the third quarterback goes off the board there. Guy with a ton of draft capital. What do you think about Justin Herbert going here? Is this a good pick? Is this a good spot for him?
Yeah, no complaints.
Yeah, I mean, anything 103 to, on, I get it. Like, if you need a quarterback, I have no problem taking him.
I just don't – like, I understand Superflex. He has a very good chance to start year 1. Has good weapons, at least for the next few years. I just don't know about his upside, his ceiling for me. I've never been a huge fan of Herbert. I think he can be a game manager plus in the NFL, but that's about it. He's not really a high ceiling type of guy for me. Whereas, I think Jonathan Taylor is. I think that, I mean, depending on who you're most interested in, Cam Akers has a pretty high ceiling right now with Los Angeles. J.K. Dobbins has a huge ceiling with the Ravens. Maybe not this year, but next year. So that, I mean, I get it in terms of the super flex value, but I just don't love it. It's a safe pick, I guess, much like it was in the NFL draft.
I mean, it's absolutely safe. Every year, second-year quarterbacks that started their rookie season, the value just blows up regardless of their ceiling. So I have no problem with that. I think it's actually a great pick, to be honest.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, so the consensus is this is a pretty good pick here.
DLF ADP, I did a brief study of it for value into the second season. Okay.
You're good now. You're good.
You're good.
Oh. Nope. Internet's back. There it is.
My delay, I'm just going to say, it remain the same in into their second and third year. So
is that right?
It's pretty safe.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and this,
if they're drafted within the top five QB spots, yeah, as in QB 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or it might have been QB 1, 2, and 3. I forget.
Which is not due, because even if you take the quarterback and you don't need a quarterback, you know that you're going to have that trade value is going to be there for a couple of years. So that's huge. To the great Peter Howard. Peter, are you going to right a wrong from the NFL draft and take the nut puncher here, or are we going to go in a different direction?
No, I right no wrongs. I just get angry about them. Sorry, can I go back a second? Like, I got asked about this last night when I was doing mock drafts as well. I normally just put quarterbacks at the top of the round 1 in Superflex. That's normally my reaction to it. But Herbert's interesting where you take some running backs over it. Is it fair to say, like, you go Herbert if you would have someone like, I'm trying to think of a good quarterback comparison, Derek Carr, or, some mid-range okay quarterback over someone like Nick Chubb. Like, that's a comparison. You either go for the running back at the top of the rookie draft or you go for Herbert. And that's an equal trade scenario. You know, the quarterback has more value, but he's nothing special. The running back could be something special, but there's more of them. If you know what I mean? Anyway, that's something I wanted to throw out there while everyone was paused because of my delay. Third overall, let's say we've said Burrow, Tua, Clyde Edwards-Helaire's gone, Herbert's gone. So Jonathan Taylor's still on the board?
He is.
I'm taking Jonathan Taylor, yeah.
Awesome pick.
That's who I would take.
That's wild at 105. I mean, in any draft,
Right.
whether it be SuperFlex or not, Jonathan Taylor to 105, I would be super stoked.
Oh, yeah. I would have to do a naked lap around my house.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Pretty happy about it.
With sunglasses.
Really nice there. I love the fact that a lot of people who watch film were well, Jonathan Taylor's not going to be able to run through those huge holes, in the NFL because he's not going to be able to run behind such a great offensive line. And he goes to the Colts, who have a great offensive line. To me, is fantastic. So yeah, let's move it along here.
All my beer.
We're gonna go. Yeah, we're gonna go to Justin. Justin, you are up with a 1.06 here. What are you doing? Who are you taking?
Give me J.K. Dobbins, baby. That triple option with Lamar Jackson is going to be hard to stop in 2021 and beyond, but that's my guy. That's running back 3 in the class for me, so I'll go with J.K. Dobbins at 106.
J.K. Dobbins is the pick at 1.06. Another running back lands in a pretty fun spot, a team that likes to run the ball. So what do we think about J.K. Dobbins there?
Well, I mean, Mark Ingram ran for over 1,000 yards with 202 carries last season. Had arguably, or no, I mean, it's his in terms of yards per carry, his second best or most efficient season to date, and it's just behind 2016. So it's just one of those things where it's like Mark Ingram was a 30-year-old and did that. I think J.K. Dobbins steps in or in at least 2021 and just crushes because I mean that's going to be they had. I think were they the first team with over 200 yards and 200 rushing yards and 200 passing yards in a season, something like that. So they're going to run the ball with Lamar Jackson, and having him like Justin said with the option or RPO or triple option with Lamar Jackson, it's going to just be hard to stop.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So that'll put me on the clock with the 1.07 and. At this point, I'm looking at a running back as well, and I think I'm going to take DeAndre Swift here. Goes to Detroit. I'm very high on his talent. I think the landing spot is something that you're okay with it or you hate it. I'm okay with it. I don't think Kerryon Johnson provides. He just can't stay healthy, and DeAndre Swift hasn't had those health issues in college. I think the draft capital is more than enough to warrant him being the guy there in Detroit, and I'm all in on the talent. So I'm okay with the landing spot. I think he ends up becoming the getting the lion's share carries there sooner rather than later. So what does everyone think about DeAndre Swift here at the 1.07?
Perfect.
I love him.
Yeah,
I love him. I like the landing spot. I think the only thing that might give some people some pause is the argument that could be made of Matt Patricia using more than one running back in a season. But I think we also have to look at the offensive coordinator and who's there, and that's Darrell Bevell and his propensity to use a bell cow running back and just shove it down their throat. So I'm just hoping that with Darrell Bevell calling the plays that there's going to be a higher propensity of DeAndre Swift to get these touches.
Well, and let's say they don't, right? I mean, I could still see it be like Kamara and insert other running back, where he's still getting all the good touches. And yeah, I'm very excited for him being in Detroit, to be honest.
Some people knock the landing spot, but they have a really good offensive line. Like it's underrated, I feel like, because they have I forget the guy's center's name, but almost 3 first-round picks on offensive line. and he's better than Carrion, and the skill set's there. Draft capital, early second round. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's maybe more of a muddled landing spot than at least one other guy I got on here, but no problems with taking Swift of any of these guys. The top of the running backs, it's like pick your guy. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what this draft has shaken out, is that these running backs are basically pick your guy, pick whoever you prefer out of these guys, because the landing spots are all pretty good. So Stompy, that puts you on the clock with the 1.08. Still some premium players on the board. Who are you taking here?
Wait, doesn't that put John on?
Yeah.
Or is he's no longer participating?
I don't think he is. I don't think he's part of this
because he doesn't know anything about rookies.
I taken over his spot. He doesn't have a choice anymore.
Yeah. This is tough because there were some good RB landing spots a little bit later, like Keyshawn Vaughn to the Bucks.
Underrated, yeah.
I mean, LaMichael Pirine to the New York Jets, pretty underrated because of where Lev Bell is and how Adam Gase views Lev Bell. But I think for me, it's got to be Cam Akers here.
Yeah, that's a.
Not you're fine. It's got to be Cam Akers. I mean, nobody inspired anything last year for like Darrell Henderson, for John Kelly, everybody's favorite before the 2018 draft, or Malcolm Brown. So I think Cam Akers steps into one of the better situations. One of, like Peter has acknowledged, one of the less muddled backfields. I mean, I don't think there's anybody who really takes a ton of touches from Cam Akers. So relatively high-powered offense, and he's a starting quarterback where we saw Todd Gurley be elite for 2-3 years. So I think it's got to be Cam Akers here.
Yeah, Cam Akers, I definitely.
Can I just interject? Normally I would have sorry, I tried to get in early. Where I've got a delay, like normally I would have been all over Stompy with that one, but I'm trying not to screw this guys up for everyone listening. I know I'm causing trouble, but I would say, just to throw some late shade here, you should not be humming and hawing over whether to take Cam Akers over Keyshawn Vaughn. Like, it's night and day.
It was more of a
stop it. There is a huge motherfucker of a drop off after Cam Akers.
No, I understand.
Like, I love Vaughn. I like that Stompy's trying to put his name on all these guys, so he can be the guy who knew first. I get it. But there is no decision there. You take Cam Akers. Just in case anyone was confused, or maybe I should take Keyshawn Vaughn. No. Cam Akers is very clearly the pick there. Stompy was just trying to claim more acclaim than he really deserves.
Yes, right. I acknowledge those guys who maybe you won't be thinking about. I knew who the pick was. It was more, let's acknowledge that there are some decent landing spots here that are going to jump in value. But Cam Akers to LA, I mean, he was already a top 4 running back in this class. That landing spot, I mean, secures that for him. So yeah, Cam Akers is definitely the pick here.
Right. And if we just go off of just what the film says and what Cam Akers' profile is he actually profiles really well in a zone style offense, which is what St. Louis runs, right? Everything is based off of the zone concept. And if you're going to bring up Darrell Henderson, please know that Darrell Henderson is one of the worst zone runners graded in the NFL. So he clearly doesn't fit in that offense. Darrell Henderson profiled as a power running back in college. He's not making it for the Rams. Cam Akers is clearly a one-cut running back, which is terrific in the zone style system.
Very nice, very nice. So,
also, Akers has 2 20-plus reception seasons in the NFL, and I believe is a fantastic pass blocker. So, can be on the field for all 3 downs.
Yeah, it's huge. That's huge. More reason to take him here. I think this is the part where it gets interesting, because after Akers goes off the board, I think it's where where I'm interested to see people go. And Bill, you are on the clock with the 1.09. All those good running backs, all the top quarterbacks are off the board. What are you doing here at the 1.09?
Yeah, I seem to be falling into this situation every time where I'm picking the guy at the top of, a tier. And so I have my choice, which is great, but I feel like every time I'm in that situation, I'd probably trade back if I could. But I'm going to go with who I feel is the best wide receiver, even though it's a little muddled in Dallas, but I'm going CeeDee Lamb here. I just think he's the best guy, and cream will rise to the top.
CeeDee Lamb, the pick with the
cream will rise
here. Yeah.
So Michael Gallup has 2 more years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I don't know.
And is really, really, really good.
And is really good. Yes, and is really good.
Yep.
So that landing spot was horrendous. And I don't know the exact numbers for Amari Cooper's contract.
2 years they can get out of it.
Mm-hmm. They have an out in 2 years.
After 2022 is the out.
2021
the only thing that's made me feel better about
right.
The only thing that's made me feel better about the landing spot is actually John Michael, J. Mike Check on Twitter from the Open Bar and the Dynasty Dummies. He pointed out that while it was a terrible pick, and it really boggles the mind why you would stack the wide receiver room when you have 2 great wide receivers, you also don't not select CeeDee Lamb when he falls to you. And that was a fairly good point. That made me feel better about it. Like, you don't just not take CeeDee Lamb, you just don't not do that. So, yeah, that made me feel better about it.
I think it's worth noting that I'm not going to go down this whole vacated targets route with Peter on this podcast. But I think one thing
can't do this to me while I've got a delay, man. You can't do it. I just no.
So
I need instant response for that kind of.
So the only thing I'm going to say is that a much worse wide receiver in Randall Cobb still came out with 53 targets and 55 receptions.
Valid point.
By who? By Kane or by Peter there? I think both. Anyways, guys, it's CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, really interesting. I think was a guy that a lot of people were very high on before the draft. I was wondering kind of how his landing spot was going to affect his draft capital, but he's still the first wide receiver off the board in this mock. So I think that's interesting to note that people are still going to be high on CeeDee Lamb. Regardless of that landing spot that some may see as unfortunate. So, Kane, that puts you up on the clock, bud. You got the 1.10 here. Who are you taking?
I'm taking my only other tier 1 wide receiver, which is Gerald Jeudy. That's his fancy name. But yeah, Gerald Jeudy, great receiver. At some point you still have to go with. I'm a guy that tiers players, so I'm always going to take a guy that's in my wide receiver 1 tier versus dipping into that 2nd tier. So that's what I'm doing here. I like the landing spot. Curious to see how the offense just looks as a whole, with obviously all the other mouths that are going to have to be fed with all the other draft picks there. But Jerry Jeudy's just a good player, and I want good players on my fantasy football team.
Just draft good players.
There you go. Yeah, and Jerry,
pretty simple.
One of them, and he winds up in Denver. That offense seems to be moving to a high-powered type of offense with the free agent signings and the drafting of Jeudy here. What do you guys think? Is Jeudy the pick here? Does anyone have an issue with taking Jerry Jeudy here?
Nope.
Man, it's all chalk.
I know we're back to what we said about running backs. We're back to what we said about running backs, where it's kind of pick your guy. Judy's fine. I would have some others I'd prefer.
Okay,
it's your turn.
Well, yeah, and then that's a perfect segue because the 111 belongs to you, Peter Howard. And what are you going to do? What's one of those guys at least that you would prefer over Jeudy that you're going to take here?
I haven't done post-draft rankings yet, so they're in flux. So I'm going to take this opportunity because otherwise I'm going to be saying Jalen Reagor's name so often. It seems like over the next few weeks I'm going to change it up a little bit here. So while Reagor probably edges out, I just want to point out that the wide receiver with the highest likelihood of having a fantasy-relevant season like very clearly there's a slight drop off before you get to Reagor, is just of producing a top 24 or top 12 season if you average out the however you like to run likelihoods. He went to a great landing spot, I think, in Minnesota. Just I know there was cousin shade earlier, but he's fine. Adam Thielen's a great wide receiver, which helps the team, which helps Justin Jefferson. He did great in college, a great landing spot, in my opinion, as far as I can judge it. And his draft capital was primo too. So, like, I'm going to take Justin Jefferson, mostly because I don't think I'm going to get to say his name a lot in this spot, because I'm going to be saying Reagor so much. So, give me Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson, the pick here, wide receiver, going to Minnesota, going to step in and try to fill the shoes of Stephon Diggs. Maybe not the same role, but both are superior route runners, and we're going to see Justin Jefferson on full display there. He doesn't have much standing in the way of playing time. Tajay Sharp is pretty much it. So what do you guys think of the pick here with Justin Jefferson?
Great name. Fantastic name. You know,
Jefferson?
Justin, you know? Yeah,
Oh.
I know. Great
Justin's awesome.
Hard-hitting analysis there from Justin with the name right there. So you're getting the best of the best here with these guys. Justin Jefferson, though, I think this is a great pick. I think it's about the range that you're going to get him. Really, really nice landing spot, and it seems like opportunity is going to be there right away. So that's always good, too. By the way, something I kind of want to go on is if you have a guy that's you think is going to get opportunity sooner rather than later, I bump them up a little bit because I want to know what I have. I don't want to wait 2 years if I don't have to, So the sooner I know whether or not I have garbage or I have, a player that I think can be decent, the sooner I can either move on or, use that player. So to me, that's an important part of drafting these rookies too. So Justin, we're going to go to you now, man. You're up with the last pick in the first round, the 1.12. Who are you taking here?
Yeah, like Peter said, I'm going to be saying Reagor a lot in these situations. He's my wide receiver too, but I'm going to go with Keyshawn Vaughn. I think the last running back before a nice little tier break in it and a great landing spot with Tom Brady should have immediate production. He's better than Ronald Jones, and I'm going to go Keyshawn Vaughn at the 112, get another running back. And then because of this whole COVID thing too, these wide receivers aren't going to have as much time to work out with their quarterbacks. It's going to be a little late transition. I could probably get Reagor a little cheaper in a year from now, or another wide receiver a little cheaper in a year from now. So I'm going to go with Keyshawn Vaughn.
Very nice. Keyshawn Vaughn is the pick, running back for Tampa Bay. He is the second youngest running back to Ronald Jones on that roster, which is weird to say. But apparently most people think he is better than Ronald Jones, and that's why he's the pick here. Guys, what do you guys think of Keyshawn Vaughn being the pick here at the end of the first round?
I think it's a really smart thing to do, something I don't often find myself doing, but switching back to running back before you're really comfortable. Like, positionally, it just makes a lot of sense. Like Justin said, this year especially. Seems really weird for Reagor not to be a first-round pick, and that's the thing. I'd normally take Reagor, but it is something you should probably do more often than I'm ever comfortable with, which is switch back to running back. So it's smart.
Very nice, yeah.
I don't get called smart often, so thanks, Pete.
Hey, man, you're not hanging out on my feet enough. Everyone there's smarter than me, and I tell them constantly. So just come by anytime.
All right, so that does it for the first round. Real quick wrap up: Joe Burrow, 1.01, 02 is Tua, 03 is Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 04 is Justin Herbert, 05 is Jonathan Taylor, 06 was Dobbins, 07 was me with DeAndre Swift, 08 was Cam Akers, the 1.09. I'm going to wait till this thing rolls around again. This is just for, the blind. 1.09 is CeeDee Lamb, the 110 is Jeudy, 111 is Justin Jefferson, 112 is Keyshawn Vaughn. So that puts me on the clock at the 2.01. And because you guys have graciously passed on Jalen Reagor, I'm going to do the same.
Right.
Jalen Reagor would be here, but I want to trigger John, and he's not here right now. So I am going to go for that. And I am going to take Jordan Love, the future replacement for Aaron Rodgers in the much nearer future than John Hogue would think.
That brought Stampy waste too much joy.
So I get Jordan Love here. I'm going to take the quarterback in the SuperFlex draft. I'm not. I'll be honest with you. I am not head over heels in love with Jordan Love. I don't love Jordan Love. I don't love the pick here, but the value I think is right here at the beginning of the second round to take a quarterback here, especially if I own Aaron Rodgers. I definitely want Jordan Love. I don't know, Superflex dude, John Hogue probably has all the Aaron Rodgers shares, so he should probably get used to saying the name Jordan Love in rookie drafts. But that's going to be my pick here, guys. So go ahead and tear it up, but know that I did it just to spite John Hogue. Okay,
I'll let Peter go first.
Him and Hurts are kind of hard to get on my board right now. Like, I like that you're making a case that he could get on the field. If you don't think that, then just it's I kind of know. No, I don't want anything to do with him. His value's more likely to stay the state. I go for something that could increase, rather than something that's just going to be a roster waste. What do they call them? Roster cloggers. So no, I think it's terrible. I hate it. I hate it with a put it this way. I'd rather take Herbert over who did he go over? Herbert over one of those running backs and miss out on that running back than draft Love and miss out on Jalen Reagor. That's what you're doing there, and I'm not doing it. But that's me. And I'm stupid. Right. So
well, Peter was being nice with the way he broke it down, guys. So, guys, don't pull any punches, though, like Peter did. Let me know what you guys think of the Jordan Love pick. Anybody else have any thoughts on here? And if he doesn't go early in the second round in the Superflex League, where would you guys consider him going?
So first, I'm going to start with why the Jordan Love pick is bad. I don't understand taking a guy that is only going to decrease in value, because Aaron Rodgers is still going to play for another 2 years for the Packers, unless somehow they're going to trade and eat all that cap. So they're not going to cut him. You know, if they cut him next year, it's a $31.5 million cap hit. They have an out after 2 years, but do you really want to wait 2 years to figure out if that's actually going to be a quarterback that has, you know, even a top 24 season at quarterback? I don't want to do that. I want to get immediate production, because as soon as, and granted, I'm not a Jalen Reagor guy, but if I take Reagor and he, you know, has 90 targets, you know, 800, 900 yards and some touchdowns, you're going to be willing to trade me Jordan Love plus for Reagor, because Jordan Love's still going to be sitting on your bench and not seeing any playing time.
I think you underrate how much I love these quarterbacks and how much I like having all of them. So I probably wouldn't do that, but your point is valid. I think most people probably would, most reasonable people, and I don't pretend to be reasonable. So
I love how we call it a team,
Josh
and you're
Rosen?
telling me now you're unreasonable.
Yeah, I just thought that you guys already knew. But yeah, well, let's move on, because I'm
let's not move on. Let's make you sweat. Let's make you sweat. Let's throw you an AJ Brown for Josh Rosen trade. Would you accept that?
Peter Howard, I drank all those beers last night for you, and I'm still getting this treatment for your.
And I'm still following you. You've been paid for those beers.
Man, oh man, what have you done for me lately? All right. All right, guys, I'm moving on. I'm making an executive decision. We're moving on. 2.02
rigged.
Jalen Reagor is still there. Who are you taking?
I don't know. There's a few wide receivers here that I like, and so I'm trying to decide where to go here.
Stompy.
He's gonna do the same thing. He's gonna put his name on a bunch of guys.
I'm not gonna do it just because
Look at him go. Look at him go. All these guys are mine. Whoever hits, I was right.
Yeah.
He's gonna say like 8 tight ends.
I'm gonna go with Laviska Shenault.
Oh, terrible.
Interesting.
But why though?
Explain yourself, sir.
I just he has landed in a situation that isn't
good,
rife with pass catchers. He can basically, I think he's a very dynamic receiver and can play underneath as well as on the outside. Can play out of the backfield as well. He's great with yards after catch. So I just like the situation he landed and what he can do with the ball in his hands.
All right, guys, what do you guys think? Laviska Shenault, Jacksonville took him in the draft. What do we think of the pick here?
So 3 things. First, he's often injured, which is definitely something I don't want. Second, he's not a polished wide receiver because, granted, he played all over the field. And I know that makes him a little versatile, but at the same time, that leads into my third point, which he's going to need manufactured touches to see immediate fantasy production. Okay. And he's going to a place that doesn't often give manufactured touches to players. So I'm not going to touch that, not even with Stompy's picks.
Well, if we read the ticker, it says 2.01 of Love and then Shenault. So I think John is trying to tell us that he loves the Shenault pick, while everybody else seems to be hating on it. But it's an interesting pick. The landing spot. What does everyone think of the landing spot? Is Jacksonville a decent landing spot for a receiver, or is that? I mean, we're relying on Gardner Minshew, right? And I know Bobby Koch would be here.
Hey man, what's with all the hate for the fun people? I mean, Minshew's fun. Do you just not like fun? Do you not like touchdowns, John? Is that you're not like yards, huh? You're not like mustaches and 70s references. Come on, man. I think Jacksonville's a great landing spot for a wide receiver. Again, because we measure them terribly, why not? And they may as well be great. There's potential there. I think Laviska Shenault just made me a DJ Chark fan, so I'm a little upset about that. Mostly. So yeah. Shenault's someone who had one really good season in college, and it happened under the age of 20, so his likelihood actually rises and actually justifies Stompy's pick here a little bit. But any kind of decent digging back through, production and how it compares and relates to fantasy points, like it looks like a Kelvin Benjamin type player. I mean, it can happen. Kelvin Benjamin had a great first year and was decent in the league. Similar size, similar in that he had one great year. Benjamin had it later than Shenault did, but I think the idea of sustained production as a wide receiver, like if he goes up in value because of a great first year, I'll be the first in line to sell him. I have problems the way his college production worked out. He could only do it once, and then like Kane was saying, I guess I'll agree with Kane again, which just really makes me extra.
Let's go, baby.
Not like Shenault. Yeah. But yeah, it was not as a wide receiver. It was as a different kind of player, and that's fine, but that's not what I'm looking for. So Shenault's got a lot of problems with profiles, is basically what I'm saying.
Well, okay, the last 2 picks have been crapped all over. So now we're going to go to Bill. Bill, good luck to you, sir. You are on the top of 2.03. You got a tough crowd here.
Yeah, so the 2 I'm debating between is probably the largest Twitter debate over the draft season. But I think I'm going to go with who I think has the better situation with the better quarterback. So I'm going to go with Jalen Reagor here. And thanks for an easier decision than my last 2. I appreciate that, guys.
Yeah, this is a slam dunk, awesome pick. I don't know that anyone's going to argue with you there. Does anybody think that Jalen Reagor here at this point of the draft is a bad pick?
I would have been throwing my first from the next 2 years at that guy for that pick, like pretty quickly. I think he honestly has the most upside. Yeah. He's one of the few wide receivers in this class I can honestly see a lot more upside with. Like Justin Jefferson can get there, which is why I like him, because he's got a certainty of hitting as well, but he has to get there through a specific way, like a Jarvis Landry kind of a route, a Stephon Diggs, who never quite got to the 12 so far, kind of a route. But Reagor has, how should we say, like standard, regular, awesome top 12 dynasty wide receiver type profile. I mean, he looks great, apart from that last year. So yeah, I love the pick.
Yep, I think everyone's on board with that. Sounds like
I dislike Reagor, but I'd pick him here.
At the 2.03, I mean, the value is there right at this point. So even if you're not a Reagor guy at this point, with the draft capital he has behind him and his landing spot, this is kind of a no-brainer. So Kane,
actually, I'm feeling a lot more comfortable now because I disagree with Kane. Like, if you don't like Reagor, you should go Mims there. Like that. Like, if you don't like Reagor, I think Mims would be an easy replacement. He's one of the other players in the class with that kind of upside. I prefer Reagor, but I think Kane's wrong. If he doesn't like him, you should take Mims.
I like Reagor more than Mims.
Oh no! Well then,
and I don't
you're so
like
wrong-headed, man. You're so wrong-headed. That's bad.
You're on the clock now at the 2.04, and I guess we can expect Mims to still be on the board when Peter picks. But who's going to be your pick
I
here?
don't think so.
T. Higgins.
Oh,
the pick, wide receiver from the Cincinnati Bengals, was taken with the first pick in the second round there. What does everybody think about the T. Higgins pick here?
I think it's great.
Yeah, solid. Yeah.
I mean, he steps up into probably a starting role next year with AJ Green likely gone. So
Joe Burrow's number one man.
I believe Tyler Boyd is also in a contract here, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, T. Higgins steps up into a nice role. He's going to be able to grow alongside Joe Burrow, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets used his first year. There might be a little bit more that keeps him down year one from producing. But I think after year one, this guy should be an elite level producer. So that's a real nice pick there. I like it as well. So the 2.04 is T. Higgins.
Can I just say that's terrible? Like, if that's the way you feel, just don't take T. Higgins. Don't do that.
Don't do it.
That's terrible. Don't go, well, yeah, in a year. That means you don't like the player and you're talking yourself into it. Like, if you don't think he can produce the very slow levels a rookie usually produces in his first year, then just don't do it. Like, this is a JJ Reagor-Whiteside argument from last year, and he didn't work out, but we now know that after his first year because we had a reasonable expectation that he didn't meet. If you don't think T. Higgins can do, a reasonable approximation compared to a rookie from the second round, then just don't do it. If you're saying in a year, then it's a Jordan Love fallacy. That's what we're talking about. You're expecting nothing good, so why take him?
Well, I don't know.
His value is more likely to go down. If he has a Jalen Reagor, if he has a JJ Reagor-Whiteside ceiling, and that's what you're saying when you say probably not this year, then his value is going to go down. So just don't take him. Well, I mean, if that's not what you're saying, that's great. I'm just saying for anyone listening, don't get it confused. If you don't think he can get a 10% target share and 50 fantasy points, just don't take him. Because then you'll have a JJ Reagor-Whiteside plummet.
And I like the point that you made of if you don't think that he can hit these minimum kind of points that we set for wide receiver, then yeah, you can probably deal for him later. I just think with T. Higgins,
right.
I mean, look at a guy like Jalen Reagor. There's really nothing stopping him from producing and getting on the field an awful lot in year one. I think with Higgins that might not be the case, just because there's some. I mean, AJ Green's there for 1 year. Tyler Boyd's there for 1 year. I'm just saying that maybe he doesn't hit his. We don't see his best because I don't think he's going to see the field as often as he will in year two and beyond. So,
yeah, I'm just saying keep that in perspective because I'm stupid. So I listen to smart guys like you, and then I get a misunderstanding of what you're trying to say. And so I just kind of want to lay that out because if you don't think they can do something that's going to at least sustain their value in year one, just don't do it. You're talking yourself into too much. That would be all I'm saying.
Yeah, so as the guy who actually picked T. Higgins, I think T. Higgins has an immediate value because I think he's going to see the field as the third wide receiver on that team.
And that's the way you have to feel.
Yeah, and he was the only remaining tier 2 wide receiver for me in my tiering system, so it's another no-brainer pick.
And this goes back to my, I want a way to value landing spot, and so many people like Stompy and everyone here gets it right, and I don't because I can't find a number to help me out to gauge it where I'm just smart and I have to do what things tell me. Where I'm just dumb and I have to do what things tell me. I can't make up my own mind. And it's Well, think back to AJ Brown, or that's just the most recent example. And we can go through 3 wide receivers that looked like they had slim chance to not do much their first year, and they did fine. Even the ones that didn't hit top 24, like AJ Brown, did fine. And that's with AJ Brown's the one I've got off the top of my head. That's, you could say there's a wide receiver that has first round draft capital and was a top 24 wide receiver. You had Delaney Walker, who we thought was coming back. We had Jonnu Smith, who we thought was there to take up some more of the offense. There's no way really of knowing that guy can't earn that 10%, that 50 points that I can find. So it goes back to feeling in the story. And if you can't make the story of a T. Higgins doing that, then just don't draft him. But if you can, like Kane was saying, then yeah, that's a great pick. And I think T. Higgins can do that.
Peter agreed with me again. We're gonna have to just both get off of this podcast.
Can we just delete this podcast? This never happened.
2.05 now, and Peter Howard is on the clock. Peter, who are you taking here with T. Higgins off the board right before you?
I'm kind of disappointed. I thought Reagor and Mims would be gone, to be honest, and then I'd get to say another name that I really hope falls to me in some of these drafts. There's a couple, but yeah, I'm gonna have to take Mims because you all have let him fall to me.
So
it's one of those drafts where you almost feel like you're gonna do better if other people ahead of you do better, because then the guys that you want but you can't take that value fall to you, and you're like, oh, I have to take the guy I like.
We disappointed
drafts,
him,
you know?
James. James, we disappointed Peter. Damn it.
I'm used to disappointing pretty much everyone in my life, so this is no different than my daily. So, Peter, I'm sorry, but welcome to the not so exclusive club. But yeah, no.
I appreciate that, Stumpy. I can't help but feel like a note of sarcasm in there, but that's probably just my imagination. I appreciate valuing my opinion.
I'm a sarcastic bitch, Peter, so it's fine.
Sorry, I got a delay going on. You're a bitch. I agree. Yes. I wouldn't use those words because I love you, but I mean, if you're saying it.
That's all you have to do is agree with me.
Guys, Denzel Mims, let's talk about him. Goes to the Jets. Jets have no receivers outside of Denzel Mims. This guy was a guy who projected very well to the NFL level, and he goes to a team that he's going to have a ton of opportunity. Can he overcome the Adam Gase stigma of being able to produce with that guy? That's going to be the question. But what does everyone think on the Denzel Mims pick here?
Love it. I don't like drafting behind Peter. I learned that. That's not fun. But love the pick.
Love you, Justin.
Yeah,
love you too.
He's a good player.
I mean, I'm gonna be an anomaly, but I think I'd rather have him in rookie drafts over Jerry Jeudy, which is, I get it.
Not everyone can be right, so we can just stop there.
Yeah. Hey. Give me the guy stepping into the alpha role, Sam Darnold. I like it.
Okay, nice. Well, Justin, you are on the clock with the 2.06 now. After Mims goes off the board in front of you, who are you taking?
I'm going to go with Bryan Edwards, wide receiver, Oakland. I mean, love the guy, and I love
Las Vegas
in round 3. Yeah, Las Vegas Raiders. There it is.
The Oak Vegas Raiders. We'll give you a pass.
The Oak Vegas Raiders. Yeah, so Bryan Edwards is my guy. He's going to be the alpha there. I think Ruggs just helps him out that much more, so I love it.
Yeah, an interesting pick here, Bryan Edwards. I like the player. I don't know. There's a lot of receivers going to Oakland now, so we'll kind of see how that works out. But what does everybody think on this pick here, Bryan Edwards going at 2.06?
That's the guy I wanted to have to take. I can't take him over Mims unless it's my actual draft, and then I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. Damn it! But because it's not really reasonable, Mims should be the guy, draft capital and everything else weighed in. But I really like Evans and where he landed. John's looking tired, so I'm going to stop talking. Sorry.
So I mean, I guess the question for me with the Raiders is: does Bryan Edwards? Does he play more of that possession wide receiver where Ruggs and Tyrell Williams are more downfield?
Well, Bryan Edwards is a possession wide receiver.
Well, right. I mean, and that, I mean, with that answer, Bryan Edwards steps into a role where, as Peter said, it's important that he produces in his first year, but he steps into a role where he can produce relatively well in his first year.
Well, don't forget about Lynn Bowden too, because the Raiders took him as well, and I'm awful high on him.
Yep, and they also labeled him as a running back.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
So that means Josh Jacobs isn't catching the ball again?
Correct.
No, they really don't want him to catch the ball. they're very adamant about this.
All right, guys. Well, that puts me on the clock with the 2.07, and I can't believe that Henry Ruggs is still there.
I can.
I just draft capital at this point at the 2.07. The draft capital's there. The Raiders are going to give this guy every opportunity to produce. I think at this point, I mean, it's not a player that I'm high on. He wasn't in my top 5 of wide receivers this year, but it is a guy that I'll take a shot on here at the 2.07. Don't really like the landing spot. I don't, but I'll take Henry Ruggs here at the 2.07 and kind of hold my nose and hope for the best with him. What does everybody think on Henry Ruggs in the middle of the second?
I kind of like his landing spot, actually. If a play was going to go somewhere, I don't really do what's a good landing spot. I think that's pretty clear right now, even before the draft. But having seen the Raiders pop up with Ruggs, I'm like, that's probably, yeah, I don't mind that. If you're gonna pick a team out that's gonna try to make Ruggs a thing and keep at it, like they're the only team in the NFL I know that insisted and forced target share. That's the only example I can come up with where a team clearly has had an influence on target share for the wide receivers to a negative effect for the team and the players. But they will force the issue with Ruggs. So I actually kind of like the landing spot that way. And you're right on draft capital. It's kind of, at this point, you kind of just have to take him in this draft capital. So I don't hate it.
And that's just what John Gruden does as a whole, is just force targets to certain players. So not the worst for fantasy. I just wish I was more of a Henry Ruggs guy.
Hey, man, he scored a lot of TDs in college.
Yeah, that's what does it for me. So did John.
I know we normally like yards, but, I mean, players don't normally score that number of touchdowns. So that's what, if he works out, that's what we'll be saying. We'll be like, John Gruden made it happen. We'll be like, hey, look at all those touchdowns and the athleticism. So
I was talking to somebody and they had checked out a couple of different people's projections, and this was just after Thursday, so it doesn't take into account anything after first round, but he was projected to have like 90 some targets this year. So I mean, that's pretty high for a rookie, and it's a lot more than I expected to hear. So I mean, maybe it will be higher than a lot of people are expecting.
Well, I think it
almost has to be for some of us.
Yeah, valid.
Well, I think it's important that that projection was done before Bryan Edwards came on the team too. So I think we have to take that with a grain of salt at this point.
But it's not going to dip it to like 60, I don't think. You know what I mean? It's still going to be a decent number.
Right.
Perfect. All right, Stompy, you were on the clock with the 2.08. And guys, real quick before Stompy picks, we're running a little long here, but I don't want to get everybody to not share. I think this is going awesome. So we're going to cut it off after 2 rounds instead of going the full 3. So Stompy, this is going to be your last.
I had so many good players lined up.
We could probably go 8 rounds and you would still have players lined up.
You don't even know.
I know you. Yeah. But Stompy, this is going to be your last pick here. So at the 2.08, who are you looking at?
I think I'm going to go with Michael Pittman. Like Bryan Edwards, I think he's a unique wide receiver with the Colts. Can be a jump ball type of guy, red zone type of guy. For the Colts this year, we did see Phillip Rivers trying to throw downfield a lot with Mike Williams last year. Didn't work out a lot, but
it worked out to the tune of 1,000 yards.
Yeah, yes, but he also made some very poor throws. We'll just say that.
Yeah, but Pittman Jr. is not getting
trying to be nice
for that.
Way to watch.
What?
Pittman Jr. is not losing 2 points for that pick, though.
Fair enough. Either way, he's at the very least, he is kind of a deep ball, 50-50 ball, jump ball type specialist, and that is unique in the Colts offense. So he can produce right away. And then T.Y. Hilton's getting up there in age. I mean, Turned 31 this year. Every time I say that, I feel weird because I'm turning 32 this year. So, but I think he has a path to targets year one and an even better one in year two.
Nice. Yeah. Michael Pittman, wide receiver for the Colts. What does everybody think? Is this a good pick here at this point?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, it's fine.
I think everybody's on board with that. Nice.
Hey, it's not my fictional roster. He can do what he likes.
Well, you shit all over Laviska Shenault, Peter.
Yeah, because that was
he looks a lot more worrying. I would take Pittman over.
I'm going to rage quit.
Good.
Finally.
Good.
Don't threaten me with things I like. Come on.
All right. Bill, that puts you up on the clock. 2.09, but who are you taking here in our fictional mock draft here?
I am going to take Brandon Ayuk, 49ers first round pick. I just trust Shanahan and what he's going to do with these guys. It seems like it's a lot of yak, receivers on the team, and he's just brilliant. So I'm going to trust the coach.
Very nice. The pick here, Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver for the 49ers. 49ers busy today, making all sorts of moves, trading for Trent Williams, trading away Marquise Goodwin and Matt Breida. Brandon Ayuk kind of fills a need there at wide receiver. What do you guys think of Brandon Ayuk here?
Fine value.
Yeah, I think the last two picks have been very good value. Yeah, I'm on board with that. Moving on, Kane.
No, Peter hates Brandon Ayuk.
Oh,
I hate Brandon Ayuk.
You hate him.
You're so cold.
I was afraid to pick Pittman because I thought Peter would come after me for picking an old breakout player.
He's not really. That's the thing. Everyone thinks. No one listens to my shit or looks at the actual chart. Pittman's fine. He doesn't blow up the average. But there are extenuating circumstances, and he did relatively well compared to the age he was playing. Ayuk did terrible compared to the age he was playing. Those are two very different things. Just because they were playing at an older age or the best years came older, that's not the same thing. Like Pittman was decent compared to the ages he was playing. Ayuk was bad compared to the age he was playing. It's just night and day.
Plus, he lands in a spot where they're going to be run heavy again.
I just think this team. I don't understand what this team does in the draft. I mean, did you like Pettis? Did you really, really think that Deebo Samuel's first year was everything you thought it could be? I mean, Deebo did great, and I like him, but we didn't get a top 24 season. We're probably not going to see many. This team drafts for skill set because it thinks it's smarter and can decide when and where to use every player. And so far, they've been successful at it, which goes to the trust of the coach there. But I mean, a lot can go wrong in that. And they're not drafting him to be a role that is great for fantasy as the other aspect of it. Even if they use him really well, he'll be a good NFL player. He's got plenty of speed. His skill set is there, but there's no reason to take that guy in the first round. It just feels like hubris. That team's draft the last 2 years always feels like hubris. We know better. We don't have to get the better player. We'll just overspend for a player we could get later. But what the fuck do I know? I don't get paid millions to do this. So.
Not yet, Peter. Kane, that puts you on the clock with the 2.10, the 2.10. Who are you taking at this pick here and why?
So anyone that follows me on Twitter probably already knows what this pick is going to be because I'm going to draft a running back. So that means I'm drafting Chug-a-Lug AJ Dillon. He has the highest draft capital of the remaining guys. I think he sees some touches year one. We also don't, and at least I don't anticipate Aaron Jones signing a second contract. So that means we're even going to see a higher increase in his value after year one, provided that contract isn't signed. So I'm willing to take the chance on AJ Dillon here.
AJ Dillon, the pick, running back for Green Bay, who I'm convinced that they just closed their eyes and pointed, and whoever the player was, they took. But potentially not. AJ Dillon's a good back. It just the I don't know. It didn't seem like a position of need at the time. What does everybody think about the AJ Dillon pick here at close to the end of the second here?
I'm fine with it. Yeah, no, I mean, looking at the other options, I'm completely fine with that, and especially with the potential of what Kane just said, next year in particular, if Aaron Jones isn't there. And I mean, Williams is out of a contract as well, I think. So, yeah. I mean, he's pretty much the lone survivor. So, I mean, I'm totally fine with that at this point in the draft.
Well, and with the news that they're wanting to go more run heavy, and how they picked was a very, very much evidence of that. AJ Dillon, like Kane said, steps into a decent role year one. I mean, if he takes over that Jamal Williams spot and then is the starter in year two.
Yeah, very nice. I'm not going to speak out against AJ Dillon again. The last time I did, Kane made me change my Twitter avatar to AJ Dillon, so I'm not doing that again.
So James, it helps if you're going to make a 40-time bet with me. You should look what the guy ran in high school before you do it.
Yeah. They don't weigh the same that they did when they were in high school. I don't weigh the same as I did when I was in high school either.
So AJ Dillon weighed 6 pounds more in college than he did in high school.
Well, that's 6 pounds slower. And anyhow, let's move on here. 2.11, Peter Howard. This is your last pick of the draft here at this.
I got another pick. Awesome.
Yeah. Here it is. Your last pick. Who are you taking?
So I got about 3 players here, and they're all swinging for the fences. Dillon's a lot more safe and stable, which is fine. I know. I just pull a Stompy, and you've got Zach Moss, Darrington Evans, KJ Hamler, and Lynn Bowden all seem like really good value right here.
See, here's the thing, though. That's like how it's like, those cold readings that the people who talk to ghosts do. You just start throwing things out there, and if one of them sticks, you hold on to it real tight.
Yeah, I'll say, remember when I mentioned that guy at the end of the second? Yeah,
remember? I told you he was going to be good.
I definitely said his name a couple times. I mean, you've got Anthony McFarlane and Antonio Gordon-Gandy down here too. Hang on a second. I like Isaiah Hodges as a late flyer. Yeah. Benjamin, despite being drafted in the 7th, like why the hell not? Hang on, Darnell Mooney going in the 5th. I kind of like it. No, but I know it's running back or wide receiver. It's going to be Evans or Hamler for me. So I guess I'll just say Hamler because I really like KJ Hamler, and I don't think he's mentioned, and still probably not mentioned a lot. He's a wide receiver 3 in Denver, so probably nothing's ever going to come of it. But I like the player, and you never know.
Yeah,
youngest wide receiver in the draft.
Yeah, 20 years old. I mean, he's got plenty of time to kind of find his role there. But even as a wide receiver 3 in Denver, it seems like the one thing that they were missing before this pick was speed, and he definitely brings that. So I like the pick. What does everybody else think about KJ Hamler here at the end of the second?
It's a good pick.
I mean, he already is going to see the field and probably 4 wide receiver sets. I would imagine that Dejon Hamilton is going to play the slot, but I think that's where Hamler is destined, is to play the slot. And he'll be punt and kick returner. And then Dejon Hamilton's contract is up after 2021.
Wow, Deshaun Hamilton reference in 2020. Who would have thought?
Well, I really like – I think Dejon Hamilton is, a fantastic NFL player, but just –
yeah, right, that's fair.
Not good. Though he did help me win SFB8. I'll say that.
Sports betting man has asked.
Wait, what? You won SFB8?
Nope.
God, don't.
Sports betting man is asking us a question in the chat, guys. What happens to Jamal Williams? Do you think he keeps the role he had? What do you guys think?
I know where the Packers here is. The only thing I can say very, very clearly is they hate Aaron Jones. They hate him. I don't know why. I don't think it's fair, but they hate him. I would favor that Jamal Williams probably retains more of his role than Aaron Jones. For some reason, they are bound and determined for it not to be Aaron Jones. Last year, he had to do nothing but score touchdowns just to show up. And that's because the team still limited his role. They still don't want it to be him. He's just really good. It doesn't matter. The team doesn't want it. So I know. I bet on Jamal Williams ahead of Aaron Jones for that reason, if nothing else.
Peter and I just became best friends because I've been saying that.
And Jamal Williams has been good. He was good. He was a good college player. He's been good in the NFL. He's done nothing wrong. He's a good player. There's the other aspect of that.
Totally agree. Anybody else have any thoughts that are different than that?
Yeah, I disagree with Peter.
You just wanted to say that, didn't you? You don't even feel that way. You just wanted to say that.
No, I think with the roles that were shown, I think the person that contrasts to AJ Dillon the most is Aaron Jones. And I think if we're anticipating AJ Dillon to take some of those touches in Green Bay, right, we would assume that there would be more of a counterpart to him, and that would be Aaron Jones if we're just looking at the different skill sets.
Not in the NFL. Again, because Green Bay gave the receiving work to Jamal Williams because they hate Aaron Jones. Even though Aaron Jones is a proven better pass catcher, Jamal Williams is good. He's decent. No shade there. But they prefer Jamal Williams in the passing game because they hate Aaron Jones. That's my only explanation for why you would do that. In the NFL. Am I wrong? Someone tell me I'm wrong. That'd be great. But I'm pretty sure Jamal Williams has been more heavily used in the passing game.
Mm-hmm. No, yes.
I only watch 2 Packers games a year. So.
Kane.
Yeah. I'm with you, Kane. I wouldn't watch any if I didn't have to. Okay.
I'm just more talking about like if I'm just wanting a different skill set in a running back and we take pass catching out of this, like just if we see just how AJ Dillon runs, which is obviously a downhill power style runner, Aaron Jones is a little bit different than Jamal Williams is.
I think you're right if you look at the players. What I'm saying is the team is consistently looking at these players and going, I don't care. And at some point, you got to believe the guys who are making the decisions, just whatever reason, they're going to keep making those same decisions.
No, I
agree on the player counts. I do, but they don't, apparently.
I tweeted at LaFleur, so we should be able to get this one across.
Oh, we should. Oh, we're good then. We're good.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
They love me. He told how to do
You're
that
doing
job.
this all wrong.
Players. They're going to love
Twitter.
that shit.
You ever just tweeted at a coach and he just gets you? You know?
Yeah, right. He just gets me.
All right, guys. We're almost done with this thing. We're at the last pick, the 2.12. That goes to you, Justin. Close this thing out for us, bud. Who is Mr. Irrelevant in our mock draft here?
Well, I got to do a stompy and just to call out some players. Like, Lynn Bowden, I like a lot. I also like Antonio Gibson's landing spot, and I think Chase Claypool going in the second round said something, but I think I'm just going to – well, Jalen Hurts is also interesting, but that landing spot sucked. Like, that just sucked. That took the life out of me for there, but I'm going to go with Antonio Gibson at the 212. I think third-round pick by Washington and get some versatility use, but yeah.
Yeah, Antonio Gibson, I believe listed running back for Washington. An interesting pick. When you look at what Washington has there, you've got a running back who hasn't been able to stay healthy, unfortunately, in Darius Geis, a guy who I like a lot, but has not been healthy. You have, Adrian Peterson. They signed Peyton Barber. I don't know if they have a guy that is a clear cut, this guy's the guy we're going to go with for sure type thing. It's more committee guys I would project. So definitely an interesting landing spot. What does everybody think about the last pick of the second round being Antonio Gibson?
They're definitely going to play him at running back, right? Well,
Yes.
That's how they're going to list him at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's decent. The
there's
backfield's fairly open there, right?
There's no Chris Thompson
Right.
in that offense anymore that was taking the receiving work. So you can at least anticipate him to get some of the receiving work, provided that Geis is bound to get another knee injury. So
I think maybe Evans in Tennessee. I kind of prefer that. If the team can honestly sustain last year at all and be a better team. But Gibson's a really good player, so I don't mean to compare the players there. Who was the other guy? I mean, people are going to love Zach Moss earlier than these guys.
Yeah.
Not me. Bleh.
Well, yeah. And also, I was going to say maybe Lynn Bowden, just because you got the outside potential of not just playing as a wide receiver, not just playing as a running back, but maybe he becomes a quarterback for a little while.
Yep.
So you get a little bit of an extra edge there. I mean,
and that's why you should have taken him over Laviska Shenault.
Oh, Stompy, poor Stompy. All right, guys. He outed it. Goodbye, Stompy. Which means we can bring John back in here. So, John,
I got to replace Stompy. That's an all-time dream for me. Just kick him out and take his spot.
Wait a minute, though, John. Wait a minute. You have to be a little bit jealous that Peter actually got him to rage quit on the podcast before you did, right? Like that's got to be
first try.
That's true. You didn't even have to try all that hard, honestly. I've worked pretty hard at it. I've got him to threaten to, but yeah, it's never actually happened.
All right, guys, Stompy is back. We are done. I am actually going to step backstage. I'm going to let you, John, close this thing out, and I'm going to bring Stompy back in. Okay, guys? So thank you, guys. I appreciate you. It was
thanks,
awesome
James.
talking with you.
Yeah, thanks for inviting.
Thanks, James.
Guys, take care.
James the Brain right there. Him and I are fighting over who gets to let Stompy back in. So before we wrap it up, I want to go around the horn and get from each of you guys where can the listeners find your work? Where can they find you on Twitter and other corners of the internet? And maybe a sleeper that you would have got to in the third round that you weren't able to fit here into the second round. And if you don't have any, the other thing I'm looking for is the top moment of the draft. We've got some really good ones to choose from, and we'll start with Bill.
All right, I'm Bill at SuperFlex, and you can find me on the Fantasy Timeline podcast or the SuperFlexperts podcast. Yeah, so probably a guy I'd be looking in the next round that interests me, that maybe just his landing spot, Joshua Kelly for the Chargers. He's kind of intriguing. Probably later in the third is what I would imagine. But, I think he may take over for Justin Jackson a little bit. So, yeah.
Nice. Thanks for coming on, dude. What about you, Kane?
I forgot. I wasn't listening. What do you want?
What do you want?
What do you want?
Who are you?
What are we doing?
Leave me alone. Let's see.
Why are you in my room?
What are you doing on my computer screen? That's reserved for porn. All right, give me. Where can we find you on the various corners of the internet, specifically Twitter? Where can we find your work? And give us a sleeper that you would have gotten to in the third round if we had done a third round, other than Joshua Kelly. He's taken. Yes. He's off the board.
So it's probably important to listen. But if you ask my wife, I clearly don't do that. So I'm not going to start doing it now. You can find me on Twitter at Devi_Kane. All of my writings over at DLF. I write Devi stuff over there. My podcast is the Devi Marketplace with Caleb Pearson, which is sponsored by the FF Mercs, where it's really just diving into Devi values rather than specific players, because the fun part about Devi leagues is it just gives us more players to trade, but we need to make sure that we value them properly, or else you can just pretty much have a team with no future. So that's where I do all of that stuff. If I was a player that I would have drafted in the third round, would have been Jacob Eason.
Yeah, and his Superflex, it's he very well could go in most in the second round in most Superflex leagues.
Yeah, I wouldn't take him in the second round. I wouldn't take Fromm in the second round. I wouldn't take Hurts in the second round. But I think in the third round, when we're all just taking dart throws at this point, if we're looking at just historical hit rates, I want to take a quarterback, I'll take the guy that has to sit a maximum of 1 year versus some of these other guys who might have to sit longer. Obviously, Rivers is on that 1 year contract. I'm going to take a chance and just hope that he becomes the starter in 2021, or even earlier if Phillip Rivers, like has 30 more kids and has to like have a day off or something. So that's why I'm going to take Eason and just as a pure upside and hope he can get in, because as soon as he plays one game as a starter in the NFL, he clearly has made up his 3rd round price tag and more.
Nice. Kane, thanks for coming on, man. You kind of pulled double duty for us. You were just on a few days ago, like I said. For at the top, you did Tinder Flex, and had a little bit of a rough showing, especially considering your podcast co-host Caleb kind of crushed it. So
I basically told him all the right answers.
Oh, there it is. Okay, and he's not even here to confirm or deny that. So
yeah, because we can only talk to each other once a week.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Your turn, Peter Howard.
Me? Oh, cool. I think I mentioned, in fairness, pretty much everyone who could be mentioned as a sleeper. But I'm probably going to just stick to my Lynn Bowden pick there. He's just one of the more interesting players where we have so few comps, and he played such a multifaceted role in college. And the thing that impresses me most, he's played a little bit of running back, a little bit of wide receiver, a little bit of quarterback. If his entire college career in either of those positions had played out those the way they did for those small stints, he would be one of the top prospects at either one of the positions. He played decently at QB, decently at running back, decently at wide receiver. He just didn't play enough of any one thing that we really know what he is or what he could be. And so I really like that. And again, going to the Raiders, where they kind of like weird and they kind of like making touches. I pretty much like Bowden down here. Of course, Darrington Evans, Zach Moss, and all the others I mentioned too are pretty good. You can find me on Twitter at PA Howdy, write for Dynasty League Football, or DLF, as Kane referred to it as, pretty much anytime you like. Or, I'm always on Twitter. That's the best place to find me. Always happy to talk some football. Thanks for having me on, guys. Really enjoyed it. Always like talking to you guys and making Stompy rage quit. That's like the highlight of my week, man. That's
an all-timer for sure. All-timer. You've been a busy man, and we haven't quite had the time to sit down with you yet. I mean, we're probably at the back of the line of many, many podcasts, but appreciate you coming on for this one, and we'll set up a time here in the next few months. Hopefully sooner than that, but definitely need to catch up with you again. We had you on last year right around this time, and need to do it again here soon. So appreciate it, Peter Howard.
You'd go to the head of the line, man. Love you guys. Thanks very much.
Love you, buddy. All right. And the Pompadour, Mr. Justin, who gives us all something to strive for with our quarantine hair. He's been rocking the Pompadour before the quarantine hairstyle even became a thing. And now we've got something to shoot for here. So how about you, Justin?
Yeah, so I do a podcast with my dad. It's Father Son Fantasy Football. My Twitter is at JustinFSFF. Getting in some good guests coming. We got Mike Clay coming on soon, so that's gonna be exciting. But third round sleeper, I think Anthony McFarland, landing in Steelers, I think is gonna have immediate impact with James Conner. I like that pick right there from them. And then draft moment, Tua to the Dolphins at 5 was amazing. So let's go, Tua. But thanks for having me on. Always fun to mock draft with some great minds. So.
Hell yeah! Thanks for coming on, Justin. It's this is the first time that we've had you on the show. Stompy has been a regular on the Father Son podcast, and
some guy named Stompy.
Yeah. Some like that's where he got started. We everything that happened here today, everything that's happened here over the course of the last year and a half, I think we can really kind of blame you. Like you created the monster.
We created the monster, Stompy, baby, 2 years ago.
That is FF Stompy.
Love you, Stompy. Come on, Stompy.
I don't know why I'm the butt of jokes right now. It hurts me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Dying inside.
All right. Do you have any sleepers for us? Any third round guys that didn't get mentioned?
Well, I mean, Jalen Hurts. I think in SuperFlex, like Kane said, when you're talking about you're just taking swings in the third.
No,
his upside is or his ceiling is tremendous. His floor is tremendously low, but his ceiling's tremendously high as well. So if he steps into a starting role because of injury or I don't know, I have to, and I know like this probably isn't true, but I have to believe spending a second round draft capital on Jalen Hurts as a QB, you have to believe that you're going to do something with him. I don't know what that means necessarily.
No, they just said they were going to play two quarterbacks at the same time on the field.
There you go. Well, there you go. It's going to be like a college system.
Man.
But worse.
Yeah.
Regardless, yeah. If he comes, even in like 3 or 4 years, if he becomes something, I want a part of that.
Low price for a third-round pick.
Right.
I guess we've got plenty of time to argue about that one. And
really, on a third-round pick, you're going to argue with me about Jalen Hurts?
Oh yeah.
Who's your third-round sleeper then? SuperFlex dude.
Yeah, the guy that doesn't know goddamn rookie.
Darrington Evans. There you go.
We are. Good.
That's
job.
a name that was already brought up earlier.
Yes, it was
in the show. So, yeah. But there's at least a path onto the field for that guy. But like I said, we've got plenty of time to argue this one. We get to talk about this every single week. We're going to take this next week off because, man, this was a marathon. But we appreciate everybody who joined, all of our great guests, everybody who jumped on air, and of course all of you listeners. And for now we're gonna wrap it up for the week, wrap it up for the 2020 NFL Draft. And until next week, stay sexy and super flexy.